Today we're going to talk about my 25 most recent sales on Poshmark and eBay, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Up first on eBay are these women's XCVI black acid wash pants. The person sent me a $25 offer and I accepted, and just in case you don't know what the tag looks like, it is this tag. Moving on to Poshmark are these Lululemon Pacebreaker linerless shorts. I believe they are men's and they sold for $46. And then here's a look at a different rip tag that is black, just so you all are aware. Normally they're white for the most part, so just know that they could look like this too. Another Lululemon item are these At Ease joggers that sold for $30. These did have a little bit of wear on them. They had like fabric disappearing or like holes that weren't quite holes because it didn't go all the way through the pant, but they did have some wear, so that's why they sold for $30. Moving on is this new without tags Honey Love bodysuit that I sourced at the Last Chance or Last Call. I always forget what it's called, but it's basically the last store that all these Nordstrom returns go to. And I know people travel here from out of state to go there, so this is where I sourced that item. And it sold for $61, so make sure you're keeping an eye out for Honey Love because it does sell well for me. So yeah, a little bit about Honey Love. Excuse me. Up next is this vintage Dawn Joy Western Pioneer jumper dress that I originally bought for me. I used to be a teacher, for those of you who don't know, so I bought this for like our Western Day Spirit Days because I just thought it was so cute. Here's a closer look to the print. And I'm super happy that it sold because I never really got to put it to use, and it sold for $40. So Dawn Joy Fashions is what the tag says, and I listed it, I believe, as a small or medium, I can't remember. But yeah, so just make sure you take measurements because I couldn't see the tag very well, the size on the tag very well. So yeah, that sold for $40. Moving on to these new with tags Free People Movement joggers. These I sourced when we used to have the Metro Center Mall, but there was like a Dillard's clearance center there. So I would always go on their half off weekends, like any major holiday like Memorial Day. They'd always throw the store for like 50% off. So yeah, and these sold for $78 for full asking price. Like, they did not submit an offer, so I thought that was pretty cool. So here's a little bit what they look like. So yeah, just keep an eye out for items that you know, like at your local clearance center or whatnot, because you might be able to find some good stuff to retail arbitrage. Up next is this Show Me Your Moo fruit maxi dress that I thrifted, and it sold for $40. I thought it was like a super fun print, something I might wear. But yeah, I just love the print very much, and it was a larger size, which tends to do well. And so yeah. Moving on to Beyond the Bump maternity dress. I was super excited to find this because I've never found this brand like in the maternity line, that is. So I was super excited to find this because I think I only paid like $5 for this dress. It was one of the few things that was not marked up at Goodwill. So yeah, it ended up selling for an offer of $42. And yeah, it's just something I was really excited to find. So here's what the logo looks like in case you're not sure. It is by Beyond Yoga, but it's Beyond the Bump. Moving on, another Lululemon item, surprise, surprise. It is this All Yours tank. It is a tie-dye gray and white, and it sold for $22. This does not have like a size dot or size tag. I highly recommend, if you can, I know it's against Poshmark policy to use stock photos, but I insert them like later in the listing so that they're not the first photo, but I highly recommend finding a stock photo because this person opened a case, and no hate to them, but I'm just saying, like, they opened a case because they thought it was very different from the tank they had bought before. They bought this same style, and so basically they were like, the fabric looks off, like it just looks like it's fake. And I could totally agree with them because if you look at the stitching in this photo, it's not very good at all. But I was able to match the photos of my photos with the stock photo, and so I was able to prove that this was not a fake Lululemon item. So even if you don't put it in your listing, at least have that in the back of your mind so that you can prove that your item is real if it ever comes down to that. So yeah, just a little tip for you all. Up next are these cool outdoor hiking cargo pants. They sold for $38. I really love selling this brand. It is a great outdoor brand that people seek out, especially during the summer months. So just make sure, you keep an eye out for cool. And actually, I'll see if I could find the logo. There's the tag. And it's spelled K-U-H-L in case you're not quite watching the video, but you're just listening. So yeah. Moving on to these vintage Route 66 denim mom shorts that I originally bought for me, but sadly they did not fit. So I just got rid of them, and luckily they sold for $18. So I made some money back on those, which was nice. Another pair of shorts are these Judy blue cuffed shorts. They are size 2XL. This person sent me an offer of $28. And yeah, that's what they sold for. And here's what the tag looks like. Up next is this Roller Rabbit cotton skirt. I wanted to try out Roller Rabbit because I haven't sold it, but comps, when I looked them up, looked pretty decent. I don't think I would pick this up again, only because it sold for $25. And obviously, as a reseller, I would love to make more. $25 isn't bad, especially since I think I only paid like $5 for this skirt. But in the future, I don't know if this is something I'd necessarily pick up. I believe I sold a dress from them not that long ago that went for about $30. So in my experience, Roller Rabbit has only been selling for about $25-$30. So just keep that in mind. It's not necessarily a terrible brand, but it's also not like a fast selling brand either. And I can't find the tag to show you. So yeah, but just know it's Roller Rabbit. This item is a Wild Fox swim tank that I made a listing. I remade the listing because the person wanted to buy it and I forgot something happened that they didn't get the discount in shipping, so I had to remake it. So this is why the listing looks so plain, but basically it is this Don't Become a Shark snack, which I thought was really funny. It sold for $20. I don't think I would pick this up again because I had this for a couple years, so I was just happy to see it go. Probably my best sale of the month are these a Goldie Parker long distress button fly shorts. I was so excited to find these, especially for like $5 at the thrift store. Like, that's the best. But yeah, they're a size 31. They sold for $70. I included the style tag, which was the Parker long is what it showed on there. But it might be a good idea to show your style tags because sometimes people are looking for a specific style. This person had asked me what wash it was, and based on the style information, I was able to confirm the type of wash that they were looking for. So just keep that in mind. I don't always do it, but it just might be helpful to include that in your listing. And then here's the brand tag as well. Up next are these kids Chaco shoes that sold for $21. I believe these were $3 is what I paid for them, and I was just happy to see them go because I'm just wanting to move inventory. I know you maybe have seen that I am working through my death pile, and it is a rather large death pile that I'm kind of embarrassed to admit or show, so just know I'm going to be listing for days and days and days. There is definitely no need for me to go thrifting, so yeah. This next brand of shoes is called Miss Moose, I think is how you pronounce it, and I had never heard of it before, but I looked up comps and they looked pretty decent, so I took a chance on this brand. I think in the future I would pick it up because these sold for $30, and I only paid about $4 for them, so I think that wasn't a bad flip, and they sold within a few months, so yeah. Up next is this Madewell texture and thread front tie tank top, and this sold the next day for a full asking price of $35. I also have this in black and white. This salmon pink sold quickly for whatever reason, so I have the other two listed for $35, so I'm hoping to get $35 for each of those, but a minimum of $25. So just keep an eye out for these basic tanks because I think some people are just looking for stuff for maybe like a capsule wardrobe type of thing. Up next is this Lily Pulitzer like tropical beachfront top that's in a size large. I found this at the thrift store for about $3 or so, and it sold for $30, and I believe it sold within like a week too. So that was really nice. It was a quick flip. Again, here's a photo of me including the style, so that's how I was able to find the stock photo. I know people are either for or against stock photos, but I personally like them because sometimes things look different when the item's just on a hanger versus on a person, and I like seeing it on a model because it gives you an idea of how it's gonna fit or settle on someone's body. So yeah, that's why I include them. I try not to include them a whole lot, or I try to just be more discreet about it, but yeah. More Lululemon items are these Sonic Pink Align crops. They sold for $40. These, I have to say, were a little bit interesting because they were double like lined, and from the lines that I'm used to, they're only like one layer of fabric, and these were 2 layer of fabric. So I don't know, like they were legit, like there's the size dot, but it was just a really weird feeling that I have never felt before, like having that double layer of fabric. So if you know anything about that, just like let me know, because I had never experienced that, and I thought they were fake, but they're not. So yeah. Moving on to more activewear. This is an Aloe Yoga mesh tank top that I originally bought for myself and then never ended up wearing it. Here is the back. It has this like mesh and then scoop back, and it sold for $25. Next, we have a few Lululemon Swiftly Tech tees. These I listed, I believe, last week, and they sold within the week. So this is something that definitely sells fast for me for sure. I've sold many of these tops, and I continue to pick them up because they sell so well. So this one sold for $35, and it was this interesting blue print. And I thought it was like a really nice print. There's the rip tag. And yeah, so it sold for an offer of $35. My closet had discounted shipping because that's what I won for the listing streak. So I put out a message to the shoppers, which, by the way, if you don't use the shoppers tool on Poshmark, make sure you do, because you can mass put their likes in a bundle and you can mass message everyone. And so that's what I did, and that's how I ended up getting this sale, was because I had messaged every one of my shoppers and I said, hey, my closet is discounted shipping for however long, and then this person wanted it, so I lowered the price for them, and then Poshmark gave them the shipping for buying it for full price. And then here's the second Swiftly top that sold for $35 as well. It was this like royal blue color, and in case you're not sure or you're not familiar with this top, the size is also etched in at the waist seam of the shirt, and you just have to like look on the inside of it and it will say the size here. So in case it's missing the rip tag, go ahead and look underneath the shirt near the waist and it should tell you what the size is. So yeah, like I said, sold for $35. Next is this new with tags Free People Midnight Maxi dress that I also bought at the Dillard's Clearance Center. So not a lot of profit was made, so I was like just happy to see it go. This is what it looks like. Yeah, so just when you retail arbitrage, be smart about it and don't be reckless like me. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry if I seem a little out of it. I just feel like I'm kind of getting sick, and then we are having some strange weather here in Phoenix today. It is a little bit rainy, which is not the norm for June, so it's just a combination of weather, and I think, like I said, I'm getting sick, so I'm just like a little bit out of it. But if you can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate it, and then I will see you all in the next one. Bye!